Corey, you sure you don't have any eligibility left? Welcome to another episode of McKale Madness. That's Corey. I'm Saul. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday evening, New Year's Eve, as opposed to last week when we were on Christmas Eve. And we got a lot to get into because, oh boy, there's some craziness going on in college basketball, which we'll get to in a little bit. But Corey, I'm going to start off. I know this ain't technically the new year, but I'm gonna start this whole thing off with a New Year tradition. I am going to start because if you haven't noticed through these episodes, I always drink something during the show because I gotta wet my whistle. And I'm a big fan of like really weird sodas.
Okay.
So like I like pineapple Shasta. That's a throwback. Yeah. Today, and that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to bring on a different soda, and like most of the time I go with Big Red because Big Red is goated. And if you don't know about Big Red, then I can't help you.
Man, what's up with these West Virginia gas station flavors you up here drinking?
First of all, Big Red is huge
in Appalachia.
No.
Where?
I came across Big Red for the first time in Houston.
Okay. All right. I'm just messing with you. I've never had Big Red.
Hey, fam is from Houston and LA. No small cities here.
Okay, no truck stops.
Gotcha. No truck stops. But this one I got we're going with a strawberry crush today.
So, that's Black Family Reunion flavor right there.
So is Big Red, dog.
I never had Big Red, but I'm from Illinois, so I don't know. I know that Michigan and Wisconsin have like their whole own pop industry. They call it pop, and they got all kind of different. Yeah, but anyway, I like that.
Do you know about now and laters?
Yeah, of course. Grew up on
Lemonheads.
Lemonheads, now and laters, Boston baked beans, all that. We did the nickel candies. We was big on that. We didn't have a lot of money growing up,
That's exactly. They came in the small little boxes.
Hey, the Jolly Ranchers, the thin flat ones.
Oh,
stick. Yeah, you see the fire sticks. Yeah, we used to get the 10-cent candies back in the day. Make it last.
Yeah. Hey, a dime and a nickel. Let's go,
baby.
You know
what I'm saying? And then when I got to middle school, I moved up to chocolates and candy bars, full size. That's when I upgraded my candy game then. But yeah.
Listen, we got a lot to get into. First, let's talk about the non-conference. As Arizona completes their non-conference schedule undefeated. It is, if you go from the Lute, Sean Miller, and Tommy Lloyd era, actually, you know what? We're going to play a little game. All right? We're going to play a little game, and I'm going to test you and Kev's knowledge on the subject in terms of non-conference, okay? And I wanted to make sure I did this because I thought it was really interesting what I was able to find, okay? How many times did Lute Olson go undefeated in the non-conference?
Just at Arizona?
I don't know that happened. It didn't happen before I got there, while I was there, but I was only there for maybe that window. 3 years in front, 3 years behind is not even a third of the Olson era. I got to say maybe one time, but that's a stretch.
Kev?
I will say twice.
Corey has got it once. And that 1 year, you would never guess. It was the year, it was Jason Terry's final year. AJ Bramlett led him all the way to the NCAA tournament, and then they got bounced by Oklahoma. They went 8-0 in the non-conference. They only had 8 non-conference games. They went 8-0. How about Sean Miller?
Sean won a ton of games. He wasn't very aggressive with the scheduling. I'm gonna say Sean did it once as well.
I will say that Sean Miller did it. I know it. Oh man, I know this answer. I think it's either 2 or 3. I'm gonna go with 3.
Damn, Kev, you so close. 2.
Oh man,
he went undefeated twice. The 2012-13 season, and then he did it in back-to-back years. 2012-13 with the Mark Lyons squad, who lost to Ohio State in the Sweet 16, and then he did the following year, which arguably was his best team at U of A with Aaron Gordon. 2013-14. Obviously, they got bounced in the Elite Eight by Wisconsin. How many times has Tommy Lloyd done it, folks?
This is his first time.
Yeah, first time.
Second time. This is the second time he has gone undefeated in non-conference. And there's a really weird one about 22-23, okay? This was the Azuolas Tubelis year when they lost to Princeton in the first round. That year, they went undefeated. Now, they went undefeated in the non-conference, but there was a quirk in the schedule where at the beginning of December, they actually played 2 conference games, and then they went back to the non-con and finished it out. So technically, non-conference, they were undefeated. They lost their first game of the season before they finished off the non-conference slate, which is a really weird quirk. But this year being the second one, so non-conference wise, undefeated. Now, this is the thing that I found the most fascinating about all this. And I'm sorry to kind of hijack the beginning of this show. When you look at point differential, and you look at, how did these teams fare in their non-conference versus their conference? This year's team is head and shoulders above the rest. There's not a single, the margin of victory for the other 4 teams is below 20. This year's team, their average margin of victory has been 24 points a game. The next closest, 19.6, which was that team that lost to Princeton in the first round. So we'll just throw that out. But this team is really, really unique because there are so many different aspects to them that separate them from most. Their versatility, and really their prowess down low, and even on the perimeter. And we're going to get to the perimeter here in a second. But Corey, you did the game last night. You watched this team, and as you assess their entire non-conference slate, how are you feeling right now as an Arizona alum and / former player, all that good stuff?
I saw what I needed to see out of those 5 difficult games, and I'm going to be very, very dismissive of the other games because, frankly, they weren't real games. They were just scrimmages. But the times that Arizona stepped on the court against teams that were capable of not only giving them a run for the money, but also beating them, that Arizona team that I saw in those games, and yes, I'm only going to count the 5 out of the 13, but I don't care. I'm a hooper. That's how we do. Arizona showed up, and they were physical, and they bullied people, and they got down 8 in neutral sites. They were down 10 on neutral sites. They were 1-possession games inside the final minute, and they still won. So I've seen everything I've needed to see. I've seen the entire 8-man rotation fill itself out. The last player that has yet to really establish himself is Dwayne Aristotle. I find myself, the critic in me, the hater in me, I don't have nothing to say. What is there to say? The bigs doing their thing. Guard play, phenomenal. Defensive rebounding, offensive rebounding. The only thing that I think we can say is Arizona can and should shoot the 3 better when it presents itself. But that's just nitpicking because, I don't necessarily remember playing on teams that shot the 3, extremely well. We took the 3 as a result of something. But Saul, there's just very little to pick at with 13-0, 20-point plus margins of victory, and the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. What else can you say?
I mean, you said it all right there. And I'm glad you talked about the 3-point percentage because I want to get into that because that is going to be one of the things that will be a focus moving forward is how can teams force Arizona to not be able to get what they want and try to utilize their weaknesses more than their strengths. And on the surface, you would think because of the amount of 3-point attempts Arizona's taken, that would be somewhere where they would want to go. But you may or may not be wrong. Corey, can you tell me how many guys of the 8-man rotation, I'm not talking about the rest of the squad, the 8-man rotation, because we know that's what Lloyd is going to go with day in, day out. How many of those guys are shooting above 50% from 3?
None. None of them.
None. Kevin?
I'm
Maybe Bradley.
All the rotation guys. I don't think Del Orso is. Dwayne might be. I'm gonna say 2 again.
This time, Kevin gets it. I mean, if you just guess 2 the whole time, you're probably going to get most of these right, Kev. Yeah, Jaden Bradley is shooting 52.4% from 3 right now, as opposed to shooting 34% or 32% last year. A drastic difference. Now, the year before, he shot 45, 46%. So he's kind of coming back to where he was. I think he had an off year last year. And I think what we're going to see is he got worn down last year because there was quite a lift on his end to try and balance off what Caleb Love, would show up now. And I feel like when I saw him towards the end of the season, I really felt like he had like heavy legs. I feel like he's kind of pacing himself a little bit better this year because he can. He doesn't have to do everything. He can distribute and he can kind of just let the game go. And then in cases like UCLA, if he needs to pick it up, he'll pick it up, but he can choose his spots. Very Chris Paul-like, if you will. Just know when you need it, know when you don't need to, go full throttle and go from there. The other one is Dwayne Aristode, who's also shooting above 50% from 3. And until last night, Dwayne Aristode actually hit the most 3-pointers on the team until Burris hit a couple last night, and now he's up by 1. They've each hit over 23s this season. So for what's considered a weakness, I don't think it's as glaring a weakness as people might try to make it out to be. And there's going to be a game where they're gonna F around and find out. They're gonna force Arizona to shoot from 3. And when you have Delhi, when you have Jaden, when you have Aristode being able to capitalize at a high level, I could see them shooting a team out of the water.
Oh, there's no question about it. Like I said, everything's connected in basketball, and the threes that Arizona shoots are a result of transition, offensive rebounds, and sometimes passing out of a double team. When those threes drop, you've got to switch up your strategy on the fly, because everybody knows in college basketball, 3-point shots are momentum boosts. They're crowd killers on the road, and they ignite the crowd at home. So if your gamble is to force Arizona to kick it back out and they drop the 3, you can probably give them the first 2 before you have to change your strategy, because you're right. Ultimately, they will blow you out. The problem that a lot of coaches think, and I'm not a big guy on analytics, but Krivas one-on-one against your big man, I'd say 60-65% chance he gets a bucket or a foul. Koa Peat, 75% chance he gets a bucket or a foul. You would gladly trade those percentages for an Arizona team shooting 20% from 3. So you will continue to protect your bigs defensively until Arizona makes you pay, because that's what we're really talking about. Most teams now in the NIL era only have 2 legit bigs. Florida had 4, and they still couldn't do anything. But for the most part, you've got 2 starting bigs that you have to keep on the court at least 30 minutes a game somehow. So foul trouble and the Arizona 3 ball go hand in hand. I think people will see that on display once league play starts.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I've loved about this team is they've won in a variety of different ways. And listen, they are bucking the trend nationally of where basketball has gone. The extreme perimeter game, shooting threes at a high rate. It was almost to the point where if you took a 2-point shot, it was a bad shot, especially if you're talking about the NBA. In the college game, it hasn't been quite as drastic. It's still prevalent, but it's not as drastic as it has been in the NBA, where it's basically, honestly, and I'm not trying to be old man stomping the yard thing, but it's hard to watch the NBA when it's all threes and then sometimes they get a layup attempt. Very rarely do you see anything mid-range or what happened to guys trying to dunk on guys. You know what I mean? Like that's all like gone. And
yeah,
that was the flavor of the NBA, and that's what I loved, and that's what I grew up on. So
well, you're not really an old guy, get off my lawn, because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't SGA in the mid-range game just pop some champagne last year and made it look easy? Now, the Boston Celtics chuck up a ton of threes back in the Tatum days before his injury, Jaylen Brown, but that was their offense. They spread you out. They had Horde, they had all those guys shooting threes, and that's how Boston was getting it done. But now you see Luka, you see Wemby, you see SGA, you see Halliburton. Yeah, these are guys with mid-range games, and they're making it happen. Denver is all Jokic inside. They shoot the three as a result of Jokic. So the league is starting to swing back to the high percentage mid-range post-game. And college, I think a lot of kids in college shoot threes because they're lazy and they have incomplete games. They don't have a one dribble pull-up. They don't have post-move spin up and under. They rather do one dribble and some garbage James Harden step back and call that hooping. And I think what you're seeing is it's easy to defend. The refs are no longer bailing you out on those flops. They're actually calling the foul on the offensive player now for trying to bait them into getting 3 free throws. So the college trend always follows the pro trend. It's always a year or two behind. So it'll be interesting to see how college basketball plays out this year with, like you said, guys falling in love with the 3-point shot, because I do think it's the lazy man's answer to offense. Like, oh, I'm going to do a one dribble pull up, step back 3. Now, on teams that suck, you can do that. But when you're standing alongside 4 or 5 other All-Americans or 4 or 5 really good players, that shot is disrespectful to your teammates. If you really shoot that and it's like, this is the best look we can get, is you pounding it 5 times and then stepping back and shooting a contested 3 and then falling on the ground. Like, I don't think the elite coaches and the elite programs are really endorsing that type of play.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I just haven't seen that quite to that degree.
Right. I haven't seen it either. They're still doing it.
It's still doing it. Yeah, it's still chuck and duck. Everybody wants to be Steph Curry. Nobody wants to put in the work Steph Curry does. That's kind of what I see, right? And when you're talking about, like Arizona kind of bucking a little bit of the trajectory of where the game is going, I like it. One of the things that I would say is maybe perhaps my biggest critique of Koa Peat is I love the fact that he's athletic as athletic as he is. That's a tough word to say. But I like the fact that he's got a little spin around jumper and he can add a little fadeaway to it and stuff like that. That's great. But there's a couple times where I would just love to see Koa Peat on the block like he's Chuck. You know what I mean? Catch that, turn, enforce his will at the rim, and just be like, you ain't stopping me. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And really, and that to me, the enforcement of your own will to dominate over another player, and that player realize, yeah, I ain't got it. That's where I would like to see him to really like take that next level. Maybe he'll get there this year, or maybe he'll get it when he gets to the NBA after a couple years. But to me, that low post game, there's such a science to it. There's such a beauty to it when you do it the right way. And I think to some degree, even with Krivas, down low on the block sometimes can feel a little like poor man's version of Rick Smits with the shuffling of the feet and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I need to see a little bit more finesse and strength combined down low, like Tobe. Like Tobe Awaka is the perfect example of like, he's very efficient with his moves. He knows where he wants to go. He's going to get there. He's going to do his best. It might get blocked or whatever. I'll get the rebound and do it again. That's what he's going to do. Koa, he's trying to be, sometimes he tries to be a little too slick with it, in my opinion. I would like to see him improve that. Still a great player, still leading the team in scoring. Don't get me wrong, not an average bum by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying, like, if we want to nitpick, this is a small thing that I would like to see him. I would just like to see him beat somebody and be like, dude, get out of here with this mess. Yes. So that's what I want to see.
I mean, I like that. I like that concept. The thing that I saw last night at the game was Koa would make a mistake. He threw a lob pass, it sailed out of bounds. And there's this instant glance over to the sideline between him and Tommy. No one else on the staff. He's learning as he goes. He's being chastised and coached as he goes with a relationship with Tommy Lloyd. And I want people to watch for it next game. Koa Peat is a freshman. every time he steps on the court, it's something new, something he's never experienced, something he's never been through. So he has a trust of Tommy Lloyd to guide him through all these situations that Tommy has seen a million times, but it's the first time for Koa Peat. Tommy don't even look at Jaden Bradley. Why? Because Jaden Bradley has thousands of hours of game time under his belt, and he don't really need to be coached through everything. He knows, my bad, I should have thrown this. Jaden sees the game. All his reps have translated into superior instincts. He knows when to shoot the lane for a layup. He knows when to get his hands out of there so he doesn't get a foul. He knows when to slide over and double team. He plays without having to think because he's got way more miles on him than Koa Peat. What I thought was fascinating about watching the game last night, Koa is getting real-time education and guidance from Tommy Lloyd almost every possession. When he makes a mistake, Tommy gives him the face like, dog, what? And it was a game where the game was already in hand, but he's teaching him like, you need to anticipate that. I can't have you throw that pass against Texas or BYU. I can't have you spin into a double team against Iowa State. So I'm going to coach you like this is Duke. I'm going to coach you like this is Gonzaga that we're playing. And I love to see every time, good or bad, Koa's looking over at Tommy and they're working through these new scenarios. And everybody says, okay, who's more talented, Koa Peat or Jaden Bradley? People would probably say Koa Peat's more talented. Who's more effective? Who's more efficient? Who's more precise? Jaden Bradley. Why? Because he's a senior. He's not struggling with impulses and instincts and decisions, where Koa is, like you said, how many times is Koa going to get the ball and just get to go one-on-one so he can be somebody, so he can move somebody out of the way? So the last thing I'll say is this. Koa has to play with his back to the defense. Jaden Bradley plays facing the defense. Huge difference in terms of level of difficulty. Oh, I see the double team. Oh, I see the trap. Oh, I see who's open. Oh, I see you're late on the rotation. Let me drive. Like, he can see everything that's out there. And he's got, 5 years under his belt? So Koa, with his back to the defense, he has to start to develop, like you said, those Jedi instincts where you can do things with your eyes closed. To that extent, Tobey knows when the double team's coming baseline, so he spins to the middle. Tobey knows when he's got an offensive rebound and the guy's out of position, so he goes right back up. Because Tobey's got hours, he's got miles on him. So I think, Koa Peat. The other part to your point, when the three balls start to fall, and it's pick your poison time, I think you will see Koa Peat dominating the paint because they'll have no choice but to just cut their big man loose and be like, yo, we're getting killed from three. Bro, you on your own. Yeah. I've been on both sides of that. I've been in the huddle to telling a big man, you on your own because I got to stay home. And I've been the four-man where they came and told me, hey, see, you got to lock up because we can't help. I know what that's like. So I think Koa will benefit from some good perimeter shooting once Arizona gets on a roll.
So I want to read to you guys a little bit of what Corey and I were texting about last night, if you don't mind, Corey. I will bleep out the expletives. No, I'm just kidding.
Put them in there.
So we're watching the game last night, obviously not together because Corey was doing the game, and he hits me up during one of the timeouts and says, Tommy's on some Kill Bill type stuff right now. And I was a little confused. Like, what do you mean? He's like, he's playing 8. He's like, and that's it. It doesn't matter if they're playing Southwest Oklahoma State Bible College or if they're playing Georgetown or if they're playing North Carolina. It does not matter who they're playing. This is the lock. This is the rotation. And why is he doing that? He's, in your words, training assassins. Basically training them like you have got to be a killer out there and you have got to take the other team's soul. Like, that's just the way it is on the court. This ain't feeling good and vibes and all that stuff because, listen, I tell people in my company all the time, vibes don't pay the effing bills, okay? Nope. They don't. I don't care how great you feel. I have felt phenomenal as an Arizona fan in November and felt absolutely crappy in March. So don't tell me vibes are everything, right? We want to cheer the team on. We want them to be, as excellent as they can be, but really – this is all in preparation to get to when it really matters, which is just 3 weeks at the end of March and the beginning of April. That's all this is for. And so what he's doing right now, and the way Corey said is like, y'all ain't going to be tired in the last 3 minutes against Houston. Not this year.
No,
not
sir.
This team.
Nope. Y'all ain't going to be tired against BYU. You're not going to be tired against Houston. It's 8 of us. And it's 8 of us. And that's it. You guys are going to get it done. And if I catch anybody looking up at the scoreboard, oh my God. If you can shoot the lane and get a dunk while we're up 20 with 13 minutes to go, then damn it, do it. If Delhi can go baseline and dunk on somebody, damn it, do it. I want you guys to realize that we are all we got. CMB, Cash Money Brothers, we all we got. And that's it. So what he's doing by leaving them out there and only playing 8 people and demanding excellence for the whole 35 minutes that they're out there, because he didn't really relent until 2.5 minutes to go. He kind of cleared the bench then. 1, for conditioning purposes, to get his guys the conditioning they need. 2, practice is way more competitive. Games are way more competitive than practice. So my guys can really, even though it was South Dakota State, at least we're getting a good practice session going. But mentally, you guys know whatever goes on, it's just us. Have we won a game where Koa got in foul trouble early? Yes. Have we won a game where Delhi couldn't hit a 3? Yes. Have we won a game where Krivas didn't score double digits? Yes. Have we won a game where Jaden Bradley didn't light it up? Yes. So no matter what happens, it's the 8 of us. We've been through anything, pretty much everything that could possibly happen, we've been through before, but you're not going to coast. You're not going to look at the score. You're not going to relax. And you're going to develop a confidence that no matter what situation we're in, no matter what combination of you 8 guys is out there, we can win basketball games. And it was weird to watch that because I could tell this is a different Tommy Lloyd. He knows he has a great shot at a national championship with this team. He knows there's only a few other teams that have 8 really good players like he does, and he may not see them till the Final Four. So I think he's instilling a mentality in his team, and I literally feel sorry in a lot of those games for the other teams because when you're up 25 with 8 minutes to go, the other coach wants to give up. He wants to put in his bench and wave the white flag, but it's always a stare down. Which coach is going to sub first? Because the guy in the lead, he ain't going to quit till you quit. You're the one losing. So when you put your starters out, then I'll put my starters out. But as long as you got your starters out there, then okay, we'll keep ass kicking on, the regularly scheduled ass kicking. We're going to keep beating you. So I like the mentality. I like that he was coaching so hard with 3-4 minutes left in the game, coaching every mistake, coaching every situation. He's really locked in, and I think the players are responding.
I want to go back to one thing you mentioned. You talk about I have a question for you.
Sure.
I maybe I should have asked it off air, but you know what? We're here, so why not?
For sure.
I noticed last night on the broadcast, when Delhi got his little yam on, Corey went dead silent for a good 30 seconds. And I felt like Sutton was like, "You gonna say something?" And I was like, what caused Corey to go? Was he stunned? Was he just in shock? Or what happened here?
So there's 2 things. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Delhi goes baseline for the jam, right? And this is part of the business. As the analyst, normally you let the play-by-play guy cover the plays, right? So when the dunk happens, Darren went over the top. He just celebrated, oh my God. And so he gave you the energy, right? My job as the analyst isn't to jump back in with the same energy that Darren just gave you. So when Darren hit it as hard as he hit it, then they inbounded the ball. He had to get back to covering the action. So I gave him the window to, cover the dunk and then go ahead and call the action. So I just let it breathe. That's what I decided to do because I didn't feel like we needed to be redundant. Plus, I knew my production team was going to queue up the replay on the first dead ball. I can then take the replay. The problem is the live action took place and they just kept playing. So we got further and further away from the dunk. And Darren's like, Corey, what do you got to say about that? I'm like, I'm going to sit on it till the replay. I'm not really going to jump. They got the ball right now. Like, it's not time for me to comment on a dunk that happened 20 seconds ago while the viewers are still watching the game. So that was a rhythm thing. It wouldn't happen with like me and Roxy or, guys I work with more because we know each other a little bit better. But Darren gave you everything you needed on the dunk. And then when they showed the replay, that's when I came in and made my comment like, yo, that's not supposed to happen. That's your three-point shooter going baseline for the dunk. Like, that's crazy. Del Orso, you don't expect this from the shooter. When the shooter's dunking on you like this, you really got problems. So I got my commentary in, but like you said, it was way down the road. I wasn't stunned. I just didn't want to overdo it because Darren nailed it. When it happened, he gave you the energy, he gave you the commentary. So from a professional standpoint, it's like, I'm not going to step on his commentary. There's no need for both of us to be like, oh my God. And then he hands it to me and I'm like, oh my God. It's like, nah, we don't do that. Don't do that.
At least not against South Dakota State. Now,
no, for
Houston,
sure.
All bets are off.
So yeah, and like on a play like that, so Deli gets the dunk and maybe he's fouled, right? Or Deli gets the dunk and the other team calls timeout. Play-by-play gets out of the way. The truck hits me and says, Corey, we're queuing up the replay. Boom. I give you all the energy you need. Or Corey, we're using Deli's dunk going to break. You got it. And I take you to break and I give you my commentary. But in that situation, the dunk happened and we went right back into live play. Plus, like I said, Darren nailed it. But yeah, it definitely shocked me. I wasn't expecting it. But Darren did a hell of a job on the call, so there was no need for me to, put extra sauce on it.
I got you. Hey, listen, man, I just, I was curious.
Because the longer it went, he kept looking at me like, "Aren't you going to say something?" And I'm like,
That's what I was like. I felt like, like what's going on over here? This Corey is like, I'm not talking about it. No,
it's just like, bro, call the game.
He was calling it out. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, he called me out on air. Like, he looked at me and was like, "Yo, aren't you going to say something?" I'm like, "Whoa."
I know.
I just gave you your
Saul. That did make it a little worse. Like, no disrespect to Darren Sutton. He's a great play-by-play guy.
It was awkward.
But it was a little awkward. It was a little awkward. Like, and I was like, what's going on over there?
I've done buzzer beaters. I've done great moments in college basketball over the last 10 years. And it's so weird when that moment happens, play-by-play will get in, and then they'll give you a look. And Roxy does this thing with his pen where he just points his pen at me and lets me know, hey, you got it. Like, I'm going to finish up my statement. Boom, you go. And there's that energy where people, and you're a sports fan, and Kev's a sports fan. There are moments that you'll never forget in sports. But what's really weird is you also never forget the audio that's attached to the moment. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to create timeless moments. And that's I take that very, very seriously when I'm on a game. If a guy hits a buzzer beater, you're going to see the crowd. You're going to see the student section. You're going to see the hugs. You're in that sports bar. You're on that couch. You're high-fiving. You're jumping around. You don't need to hear me. And I don't need my voice over one of the greatest moments of that school or that player until it's time to do the replay. Because what ends up happening is you get these young guys in the game. Oh my God, that was freaking awesome. Did you see that? Wow, what a shot. You ruin the whole clip forever. That's the audio on that great play.
Yeah.
I take it almost like a religion. I do not step on great moments because the moment is great on its own. Yeah. And that's something I learned from some of the great people I've had a chance to work with. But the Deli dunk, I mean, Sutton nailed it. I wasn't going to put too much on it, but yeah, it was awkward because he put me on spot. Like, yo, you're not going to say nothing. I'm like, bro, it's over. I mean, you killed it. And I took it at the break and, or, on the replay.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
That's when you do it. But anyway.
But yeah. No, listen, it was cool. It was cool. And that's great insight, to be honest with you. Like, a lot of people don't know that kind of stuff. And I certainly didn't. I didn't know what was going on in that brief little amount of time. And so you provide a little bit of insight on that. And so it's like, it's pretty cool because this is like, I'm not to tout our show or anything like that. But I mean, we are, America's #1 Arizona basketball only podcast.
No question.
But you are working for ESPN and you get access, unlike a lot of people, and you get, a certain perspective, not only as a player, but as an analyst, to see it through a different lens. And that includes the broadcast. And the broadcast, if you haven't been in the industry and you don't know, like there's a lot of nuance to this stuff. And,
so much.
One of the things that I always laugh about when people are like, "Oh, I can't believe Corey can't get so and so's name right." Or like last year was Vasar, this year is Tobe. I'm like, you do realize, like throughout the entire game, there are people talking in his ear, like, "Hey, blah blah blah, this is what's going on, blah 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 blah." In addition to trying to focus on the game and try to, it's like a puzzle piece, and you're trying to make sure that everything is working at the right flow. It's just a really incredible skill set. And it's not easy. And so I do appreciate that perspective for sure.
Well, yeah, you want to try to enhance the game. What do I need to say about a great play? Everybody saw the great play. Matter of fact, if it's a really great play, you're jumping around high-fiving your friends. You ain't even listening to the broadcasters 5 or 6 seconds after the great play. The one time, and I'll leave you with this, Momo Jones hit a buzzer beater at Stanford for Arizona. If you go back and listen to that, I was maybe 2 or 3 years in working with Dave Sidden. I totally ruined that call. Oh my God, Momo Jones, are you serious? Are you serious? No, Corey, shut up. Just let the crowd see the play. Nobody needs to hear your Dick Vitale impersonation. I was a young guy thinking that I needed to talk during the big moments, and the greats never talk. They just let the camera roll, show the audio, cut to the student section, cut to the coaches, cut to the tears, cut to the celebration. And then when you cue up the replay, you step in and you break it down. And then you send the viewer home with why that happened or how that happened. But you don't need to celebrate with people who are watching the game right alongside you. The game doesn't need that.
Yeah, there's a perfect clip of Kevin Harlan doing that, where it was a big moment, big shot, and he held both guys that were next to him and basically hey, shut the F up. Don't say a single thing. Like he just let the moment breathe and then got back into it once the replay happened. So that was great insight. One last one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, here's my pet peeve. When you have the great moment and then you do the post game, my pet peeve is when you ruin the post game with the dumbest question in the world. Like, you have a chance to take the viewer inside that guy's mind. Such a big win. How does it feel? Oh, are you really asking that question post game? I hate sideline reporters that don't. They drop the ball. They get the game-winning touchdown, game-winning field goal, game-winning 3. Man, no one knows what that feels like. And you ask the dumbest, easiest softball question because you're afraid to go deep. I'm going to snatch the player out of that moment and be like, did you feel like the whole season was in your hand when you let that ball go?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a real question that the average person that's not an athlete, you missed 2 field goals. They call you out from 48 yards. How does that feel? What's that like? Take us inside your brain.
Well, like the biggest thing for me is always like, you guys just came from a timeout into that last play. Coach drew something up. Was that how it was executed, or what did you do in that moment, knowing that might be changed around to get the ball to you, and then go from there? You know what I'm saying? Like that you're right. Like that can absolutely ruin a moment, and there is nothing worse than, somebody hits a big time game winner, and you're like, so how does it feel?
How does it feel?
It feels great. What do you think it feels like?
But then sometimes the athletes don't cooperate. It's like, hey, you were 0 for 6, but on the last play of the game, you drill a 3 to send your team to the Final Four. How do you find the confidence and the energy to do that? You played 38 minutes. Take me through that. Well, I just want to give honor to God and my coaches and my team. And they totally just dodged the question. It's like, bro, we're not here for your religious testimony. Like, you got to give the viewers something, bro. I don't care about your relationship with Buddha and Allah and all of that. I want to know how you go from 0 for 6 to ice water in your veins and make 2 free throws with 0.3 seconds to go. Like, that's what the fan wants to know, because the fan will never be in your shoes. So you got to take them in there, and then they give you some coach speak. And then the next thing you know, their teammates come over and distract them, and then you got nothing. But now we're down a rabbit hole about broadcasting. But the dunk was nice. It was nice.
That's why you turn around and do what Ernie Johnson does and be like, okay, cool. But you didn't answer my question. How did it feel?
Exactly. How did it feel?
Okay, Real quick, let's get to the conference schedule, especially as Arizona travels to Utah for the Big 12 opener this weekend. A lot of games, but nothing that's too precarious. If we can show the schedule, we got you at Utah, then home against Kansas State, then they go on the road to TCU, and if you notice, folks, there's a little banana peel right there because that could be a slip up. That could be a slip game, trap game, if you will. Then they play ASU. They go to UCF. They play Cincinnati. They play home against West Virginia, and then another banana peel. Now this one, probably a smaller banana peel because if they lost this one at BYU, there's no shame in it. I mean, BYU's a good team, but it is a tricky situation there on the road in Provo. So Corey, we mentioned it before about TCU. Because Jamie Dixon's teams are hard-nosed. They're tough teams to beat no matter what. They might not have all the talent in the world, but they are still a legitimate opponent. And BYU, why those two games specifically?
Well, when you look at that game, it's a road game. And when you're number one on the road, every ticket has been sold. People who don't even like that team are coming to see you, and they're not going to cheer for you. They're going to cheer for the underdog, which is American sports nature. You always root for the underdog. So you're playing in front of a packed house. There's going to be a lot of energy. And in college basketball, I think we've seen, even in the games that Arizona's played against lesser competition, adrenaline, these guys hang around for 10 or 12 minutes. And these are teams that really end up getting beat by 25 or 30. So imagine what a team like TCU could do with adrenaline, packed house, open in 20 minutes. I mean, we saw San Diego State down by 1, and they probably played some of the best basketball they had played their entire season, and then they kind of got away from it and ended up getting blown out. But the first half on the road, people don't expect Arizona to be up double digits in any road game, Big 12 first half, because it's probably not, unless that team utterly just falls apart. Most teams, their strategy plus their adrenaline against the top-ranked Arizona, let's just say Arizona remains in the top 5 for the majority of the season, they're coming for Arizona. This is their chance to make a name for themselves, to get extra social media love, to get, strength of schedule, to get their numbers up for the analytics. They're going to be coming for Arizona, and it's not hard to hang with the team for 20 minutes. The question is, can you do it for 40? And this is to go to an earlier point we made several weeks ago. After the UConn game, Arizona now firmly has a reputation for being physical, and they're officiated as such. Even in a 20-point blowout, the referees were still sending Tobe and Krivas to the line every time they were fouled. They weren't penalizing our guys for being physical. They weren't penalizing our guys for being too big. So if Arizona can be physical, that neutralizes all that rah-rah adrenaline. Because adrenaline won't rebound. Adrenaline can't play defense. So you can be as hype as you want. 7-2, Tobe Awaka, what you trying to do? I know you're excited, but you can't make him 6'2". He's 7'2". You can't make Tobe weak. He's strong as hell. So if Arizona's allowed to play physical, then they have a chance of, withstanding all that hype from the first 20 minutes and getting down to business, getting your bigs in foul trouble and getting you up out of here. Yeah. But I put those two games as possible banana peel slip-up games because those are teams that probably have the ability to still be within striking distance at the 30-minute mark. That's how I feel about those teams.
Now, so real quick, so let's go to TCU first, since that's your first one. Their schedule, they started off the season not great. They lost to New Orleans by 4, okay? But since then, they played Michigan. They only lost by 4 to Michigan, and they easily could have beat that Michigan team, 67-63. And if you've watched Michigan play, that is a pretty miraculous score to keep them under 70 points in that game.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm talking about. TCU's defense is no joke. They will play hard. Their other loss, besides those two, because they only have 3 losses, is to Notre Dame. They lost by 2 in overtime. Again, tough game, tough team. They beat Wisconsin. They beat the same Florida team that Arizona beat as well. And so they are a dangerous team. You cannot just overlook them. they should make the tournament. They are a tournament caliber team, and the type of team you probably see in the second round or maybe even in the first part of the Sweet 16. Like, that's how good they are. They might not be ranked, but forget all that mess. They're not ranked because they haven't played on the big stage, but they're going to get their opportunities. They start off with Baylor, and then they play Kansas, who's number 17 in the country, and then they play Arizona. So they've got their work cut out for them as well. You were going to say something, Corey?
No, I was going to say, when a team has a couple of games that got away from them, and then you got the big dogs coming into your building, it's like, oh, we know who we are. We just didn't get that win. Let's get this win. I remember my sophomore year, we go to Maui, we lose to Kentucky at the buzzer, and then a couple of days later, we played Michigan in the Fiesta, in the little Valley National Christmas tournament, and we blew them out by 40. And that was the year after Chris Webber left. They were the Fab Four: Juwan Howard, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, and we smacked them by 40 because we were so mad about almost beating Kentucky a couple weeks earlier. So when you play a team like TCU, they're not shook by any means. They feel like they should have beat Michigan, and now Arizona's a chance to get right. So, I mean, we know that. I think we know going in. I don't think Arizona anticipates anything going to be easy. But yeah, that game stuck out to me as a game where they can hang around and they can be relevant 30, 35 minutes into the game. They just can. So,
and not to dismiss Utah, we'll go ahead and we'll give them a little bit of love right here.
Now,
Utah.
I had Utah earlier this year against Mississippi State. They put hands on Mississippi State in the first half. It was crazy. Dunks, threes, everything. And then all of a sudden they let them get walked down. One-on-one. I can't remember the kid's name. Went nuts on them. One-on-one plays. And then once the game got even, Mississippi State's leading scorer started cooking. And I watched Utah collapse mentally in the second half. So they are another team that can be with Arizona for the first 15 minutes of the game. They've got some capable players, but I think their mental toughness over 40 minutes, maybe they need to improve there.
Listen, 8-5 on the year with losses to Cal Poly, Grand Canyon at home, at Cal, against Mississippi State, and at Washington as of yesterday, I believe. So, not the greatest team.
And UW got beat by Seattle, I think. Which Seattle's a good team. A lot of people don't know. Seattle's got actually a good team. But yeah, anyway.
The Huntsman Center is not an easy place to play.
No.
But at the same time, Arizona should be able to handle this. And listen, Utah's good. This is their Super Bowl. That every game is that team's Super Bowl. Like, that's just what it is right now until that number one ranking gets knocked off. That's what it's going to be. So you can't underestimate what a team's going to bring to the table. And if you're Arizona, this is where you build that killer instinct. And they haven't started off games like, crazy on fire. They've been kind of methodical about their games. They kind of worked into a flow. And then second half, they usually start off the second half pretty strong.
But
I'd like to see them get off to a little bit more of a stronger start and take the will of the team away. Like, hey, you got no chance tonight. Let's move on.
And the other thing I'm going to say, and we may lose some viewers and I may get some hate mail, but I'm going to say it. The Marriott Center in Provo, Utah, BYU, it might be the best atmosphere in all of college basketball. And you're going to that game, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see. You'll see. It is.
I hear what you're saying.
It is.
To me, listen, I've been to a lot. It is very hard to beat what Kansas has.
Oh, okay. So, fairness, I've not been to Fog Allen. I haven't.
I'm going to go to BYU, so I'll be the first of us to judge which one. But and listen, McKale is elite. It is a top 5, top 10 venue in college basketball, without a doubt. There's no disrespect to what Luke built and Sean and now Tommy have built here. That's not saying that. These are all great venues, but like there's a little bit of specialness about some of these venues, and I don't know what the Marriott Center is going to lie, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to the other ones, and not too shabby.
The thing about it, you got to throw Gonzaga in there with the Kennel. The Kennel is insane too. the Zags, if you've ever been there, oh my God, they play Zombie Nation. Those kids are bouncing. Like, I literally thought the place was going to collapse. Our whole table was shaking. There's thousands of students behind us, and they just won't stop. They just go all game long. They've got cheers. They've got dances. They got a DJ coordinating the music. That's why I say the Marriott Center, their student section is so locked in on turnovers, fouls. I mean, their presence, you feel them the whole 40 minutes. Now, McKale is elite. I say McKale's elite. Now, McKale's not as loud as it used to be when I played in the 90s. It was deafening loud for no damn reason at all game. You could not hear. And it hasn't been that way in years because I think the fan base is aged and gotten older. Season ticket holders don't really let go of their tickets. They keep coming. And yeah, in the 90s, like, I remember watching the games at home before I even came to Arizona. They had the decibel meters up on the screen on ABC measuring how loud it was. And like, coaches literally would be talking to their teams, and the players like, I can't hear you. It's a dead ball and I can't hear you. That's how loud McKale used to be. Now McKale gets loud when something goes wrong. Arizona has 3 bad possessions in a row. Team makes a couple of buckets and the crowd's like, okay, here we go. Let's get loud. It gets loud in moments, but that crazy off the wall, loud, nonstop craziness from the 90s, that's kind of faded for Arizona. But I'm telling you, BYU, their crowd stays locked in. They've got this whole over the top pyrotechnic, digital video, NBA level start to the game. And it's loud in there. It's loud. And Arizona had a real gutsy win there last year. Mm-hmm. And the thing was, they kept the crowd out of it with made buckets. And that's, I think, the same formula this year. Keep the crowd out of it. Now we're going in there with a lot of freshmen. Last year, we wasn't really going up in there with a lot of freshmen. This year, we are. So that's the banana peel. That's why I asked Kev to put the banana peel on that one, because that one's going to have me nervous for sure.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because, you know, BYU is one of the teams that did sign a former G League player. And his name's Abdullah Ahmed, 6'10" Egyptian big man from Westchester Knicks. But there was another guy recently, last week actually, and James Nnaji, who is signed with Baylor, and he's eligible right now. He's ready to play right now. And in case you couldn't see it on your screen, he did play for Real Madrid, then went to the Charlotte Hornets, then the Knicks, and then now is with Baylor. He was part of the Anthony Towns trade to the Knicks. Let me say that again. He was part of the Karl Anthony Towns trade to the Knicks. He's playing in the G League. He's getting per diem. He's getting paid as a professional. I just do not understand what is going on. And Coach Cal is frustrated with it. So is Tom Izzo. So is all the legendary coaches. They feel like everything's just going crazy. But this is what Coach Calipari had to say about this whole situation.
So I say to you, if a kid transfers 4 times, is he going to graduate from that school? There's no way. You can't graduate. So now you're going to be done playing without a college degree. You have no ties to the last school you went to, where they feel that you're from Arkansas, you played here, we're here, you're going to have opportunity. That's done. You're offered $55,000 in your first job, and you go, what? $55,000? Do I have to show up? Are they going to? You got me an apartment, right, or a car? I mean, I'm worried about mental health. Mental health. That, look, I've been poor, and you know what's worse than being poor? Coming across some money and then being poor again. That's the worst. That's probably why I'm cheap, because I'm not going back there. But yeah. So my thing is, and I've been pushing this, you can transfer once without penalty. Because you picked the wrong school, the coach lied to you, there was another player that came that you didn't know about, one time. And after that, you got to sit. Because what do you think they're transferring for? Somebody help me here. Why are they say it? That's it. It isn't because they're mad at this or that. I can extort you, and if you don't give it to me, I'm going over here. If we cure that, I've been saying it for 5 years, no one listens to me. My dog, I call me, runs the other way. My wife doesn't listen to me. No one listens. If we cure the transfer rule, 70% of our problems go away. We can deal with all the other stuff.
Corey, college athletics is in a real, for lack of a better word, it's in the shitter is what it is. It just is. You got and listen, Corey, like you walk me through this, because I know from my own personal experience now, I was playing community college, but after that first year, like if anybody else would have offered me more money, I'd have left after that first year because I hated that coaching staff so much. I felt like I was lied to. But to do it habitually every single year to the point where you got kids that are going to 4 different schools in 4 different years is really crazy, and it's gotten out of control.
Man, look, first of all, I can't even roll my eyes hard enough at Calipari right now. It's just not physically possible to give him the eye roll he deserves.
Why is that?
We're talking about a guy who was NIL before NIL. I mean, we're talking about a guy who has had multiple investigations, infractions, had to surrender wins. I mean, his track record is what it is. That doesn't even have anything to do with it, because I can't prove any of what I'm saying about that. I just have the vibe, Coach Cal vibe. This is a guy who sold access to the NBA the whole time he was at Kentucky, sends dozens of guys to the NBA. His success is built on ushering you from high school to the pros. Yeah. He has all kinds of contacts. He is a conduit to guys getting wealth. Now,
there's nothing wrong with that, though.
There's nothing wrong with that. Is he the ideal messenger for this? No, he's not.
But listen. You're getting distracted by the man and not the words.
I was about to get to the words
because there's at least a dozen other coaches across the country, damn near all of them, who feel the same way. So
right. So let's address his words. You first started out talking about lack of financial literacy and mental health. Come on, bro. You're not concerned with people's mental health no more than you're concerned with the hit rapper who has a single and makes a bunch of money and goes MC Hammer and loses it. No more than you're concerned with the young Hollywood star who has a movie deal, blows their money and loses it. The athlete that makes a bunch of NIL and blows their money and loses it. It's just part of the game. It happens. Young people blow money. Doesn't matter if it's movies, music, or sports. It happens. That's not what's keeping you up at night. He said the quiet part out loud at the end. Remember when he used the word extort? Oh, now we're getting to how you really feel. The leverage has been flipped. He's right. Kids can extort you. Give me more money or I'm bouncing. Coaches are in no man's land. They have zero authority in the NIL landscape. That's the real point he wanted to make. He got to it at the end, but you can tell when he hit on it, he spoke on it and he tried to get off it real quick, but that's really what bothers him. He has no leverage. That's why Saban retired. You have to buy players now. You're not sought after for your wisdom or your ability to guide a kid or counsel him or develop a player. Guys are talking to your NIL department and they're making decisions based on that. And coaches have this weird thing where they used to be revered. They were looked up at. Coach Cal, you're going to go sign with Lloyd Olsen. You're going to sign with Denny Crum. You're going to sign with Jet Boeheim. You're going to go play for a guy who's going to make you better and improve your career and your odds to get generational wealth. That was the position of coaches. That's what coaches' role had been for 50 years in college basketball, going all the way back to John Wooden, for Christ's sake. Now you're nobody. You are my coworker. You are my colleague. If I don't like what you say, if I don't want to practice at 6 a.m., if I don't feel like playing today, there's nothing you can do to make me play. Because guess what? My money is not tied to me playing here. My money's not tied to my attitude. My money's not tied to my performance. My money technically is tied by the school's ability to use my name, image, and likeness. It says nothing about attitude, nothing about performance, nothing about going to class. And if you try to put that stuff into an agreement, it won't work legally. That's the problem that they really have. So Calipari being the messenger to me is quite funny because I already know what his problem is. His problem is the rabbit has the gun. And it's no fun when the rabbit has the gun. These kids who are teenagers, whose minds and attitudes and whims change with the breeze, have all the leverage. If you don't get the right group of kids, you're not making the tournament. You go a couple years without not making the tournament, guess what happens to your $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million a year job? It's gone. Your $7 million a year job now resides and is in the hands of 18 and 19-year-old kids who don't know a damn thing about the real world. But if they all get with the right agent and they all become friends, they can cut you in, or they can cut you out, or they can just cut you. That's the reality. And I understand that coaches don't like it. I wish they would be frank and say, listen.
No, listen. It's not just coaches, though, Corey. Nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Outside of maybe the players who get to take advantage of a free market, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it. Because why? Because we can't – listen, man, the beauty of college sports was the fact that, you know, you would see these players like Jaden Bradley, for crying out loud. You know, he transfers one time from Alabama to Arizona because he just didn't like the situation over there for whatever. And he gets over here. He plays under Tommy Lloyd. And you see him grow methodically every single year. You buy into the player. You understand who he is now by the time he's a senior. And you invest into these players, right? Same thing in the NBA, right? Like outside of trading, like you watch a player, you know you're probably going to see that player if they're drafted by that franchise for a couple of years. You don't even have that in college athletics anymore because you don't know what to expect. And the problem here is it's not just about the fact that these players are getting paid or any of that stuff. Like, that's fine. I want them to get paid. They should get paid. Absolutely. However, like you just said, there is no requirement to their money unless you put it in a contract. And some of these people, there are contracts out there where they say if you leave X school, then you don't get your entire money. Like if you say you're going to be here for 3 years and you're going to be here for 3 years, you don't get your money. Now, have they been held to it? I don't know. But to me, that's part of this. And that's where, you know, you have programs or you have donors that are flippantly throwing millions of dollars at a program because they want to win titles and all this other stuff, not realizing the damage that they're doing to the entire scope of everything. Because before you know it, it's going to be just like college football. You're going to have the haves and you're going to have the have-nots. It's going to be very rare that a team like Arizona that doesn't have $25 to $30 million a year to throw at their football program is going to be able to compete with the likes of the LSUs, the Texases, and the Alabamas of the world who do. And that's the problem. There is no equality. I get players should get money off of their name, image, and likeness, 1,000,000%. But I don't like this freewheeling, free dealing kind of market that they have because the perception doesn't necessarily meet the reality, and you don't know what kids are about behind the scenes. You can talk to whoever you want to. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen like it is for us in the free world. If I was an expert programmer and people were talking to my people, like, cool, and I bounce and I take the money, whatever. Here, come on. You're not getting the truth. You're not getting what the real deal is or why this kid wants to leave. I'm not even trying to hear it.
No, so do you feel bad that Notre Dame's not playing in the college football playoffs?
No.
They kind of did it to themselves, didn't they?
Yeah.
They're making $50 million a year from NBC, right? Are they sharing that money with anybody?
No, they aren't. No.
They aren't. They're sharing their money with nobody. And so when you lose a couple games and you're on the bubble, guess what? You don't get in because you got your own little deal with NBC. You don't want to join a conference. So now you're not protected by the group. You're not part of the group. You have your little bag of money. You want to keep your money, then you deal with the consequences, right? Same thing applies to the NCAA. You touched on it. They have yet to close the loop. Short of a union for student athletes, you're always going to have this problem because a union brings in contract law. And the NBA doesn't have these problems. Draymond Green punches somebody, he gets fined because he's an employee of the Golden State Warriors. And it's all legal. It's already been hashed out in the CBA. There's nothing to discuss. He signed a 3-year deal. They know he'll be here for the next 36 months because he's under contract. Fans in college sports have brand identity and brand certainty, but the brand fluctuates based on the roster. So that's the uneasiness and the discomfort that the college fan feels. I love Arizona 365, but these kids don't love me back for even 12 months at a time. So yeah, everybody's not liking the new system, but here's the problem. They have done everything in their power to make sure that these young men and women are not recognized as employees. They don't want them to be recognized as employees for dozens of other financial reasons. They don't want them to unionize. So they want to keep scooping the TV money off the top, the ticket money off the top, the endorsement money off the top, but they don't want to close the loop that the NFL and the NBA have closed years ago. They don't have these problems. You join the players union, you get your deal, you play, you sign. It's all done. There's no discussions. Josh Allen is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills until when, Saul? Until they decide. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to say you don't like the landscape, then you have to ask, why did y'all take this to Congress? It's literally being discussed in Washington, D.C. that these student athletes cannot be recognized as employees. They don't want to pay no payroll tax. They don't want to do 401ks. They don't want to have collective bargaining. They don't want to have to offer benefits. There are so many reasons why they don't want these kids to be listed as employees. Then they want to get out here and bitch that the kids are jumping all over the place and going whatever they want because you left the barn door open. If you would close the barn door and be a man and part with the money that you need to part with when you're talking about employees, we wouldn't have none of it. You signed a 2-year deal with Arizona. We have your rights. If you want to play college basketball, you're going to play here or nowhere. Why? Because you're a member of the Student Athletes Union, and we signed a contract with you, and it's all legal, and you can't get out of it. Same way as if you was a Golden State Warrior or a New York Knick or a San Francisco 49er. But they won't do it.
Corey, then you end up being like damn baseball. That's the problem. And baseball has a union, and their rules are completely. They don't have a salary cap.
Well, that's the salary cap.
That's where this is going to go if they even try to unionize, which they're not going to.
I think you do a combination. You do the union and you do a cap.
But you need both entities to sign off. Right. And what player is going to sign off knowing that they're worth $25 million a year versus some other scrub on the the 12th man on the roster making $100K? Like it ain't going to happen.
I mean,
that's where this whole thing. That's why, to me, like hate him or love him, Coach Cal's thought process of being out of school, free transfer that first time, and then you have to sit out a year like it used to be, Corey. Now they didn't have the free transfer.
He's trying to bring back the old days, and the old days were extremely
But the old days, anytime you transferred, you had to sit out a year. It didn't matter. This time you get the free transfer.
If you're trying to stabilize college basketball rosters, and you're trying to stabilize, because what we're really talking about is the product.
But we're also talking about guys coming back from the pros.
No, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm 1,000% on board with you. That stuff is just stupid. If you leave the college ranks and take money to play for anybody else, they should be able to book in and close off your collegiate career. I'm 1,000% on board with that. But the problem is, Ivan Krashenkov was playing pro ball. How is he different than the kid you just talked about? He was playing pro ball. See, they were going and getting these semi-pro club kids from Europe, and bringing them to the States as freshmen. But these kids was hooping on pro teams, getting money. They were by all definitions pros, but they were young pros.
Were they getting money, or was it absolutely. Was it put into like a trust or going to their parents? Because they're underage.
When I played in Belgium, half our team was part-time. I was super low level European ball. But these guys had regular jobs. Some of them were in school, and they were making $2,000 or $3,000 a month from the club. That's just what you did. If you weren't good enough to be a full-time pro. Then there were some Belgians that were good enough to be full-time pros. These guys making $90,000, $200,000, $300,000. Same thing in France, Germany, Spain, all across Europe. You've got 15 to 19-year-old kids getting money, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month to be a junior on a club team. Maybe they play second or third division. Maybe they play first division. But the point is, they haven't stepped foot in America in some kind of way. They're able to come in as freshmen, but they're freshmen with hella experience. Because you and I talk about all the time, Krishenkov don't play like no freshman. That boy been hooping at the pro level. He's good. His dad was a hooper. Like, it's no secret. So if you're going to let the Europeans come here off of club teams, then what's the difference with a guy in the G League making 60 grand deciding he wants to come back?
Because he's a grown-ass man, dog. That's
right.
Why.
But on paper, they're both pros, and they're both around
the same. 25.
I'm saying, bro, you're not going to get no argument from me on that. I agree with you. They got to go ahead and do the hard thing.
It's got a mortgage. It's got wife and kids. Like, bro's got a 401k. Like, what are we doing here?
It's shameful that a kid whose pro career didn't pan out gets to do an about face and come back and suit up in college at 25. That is disgusting.
Dude, I'm in the media and I don't boo. I can't cheer or anything like that in the press. I'm booing them when I see them. If I go to the Big 12 tournament, I'm standing up and I'm booing. I don't care. I hope I'm sitting right next to the boo on you. Boo. I don't like that. I'm gonna wear a shirt that says Nnaji.
Right. Right. So I agree with you. Just, and it irks me because I remember being cast out into the world at 22 years old and having to find my way in the professional ranks. I knew that college door was closed behind me. Do I have a regret? Probably. I should have redshirted my freshman year, but it is what it is. I was out there young, playing anywhere I could to make a buck. The idea of going back to school was not an option for me. The whole landscape was different, but I agree with you. I think they got to close the loop. They got to make this a straight up contractual situation like in pro sports. He acts like, oh, the kid transfers 5 years, he's not going to graduate. Bro, we not handing out television revenue based on graduation rates. That's not what schools do. When teams go into the tournament and the conference gets that tournament money, they don't allocate it evenly based on whose kids graduate. All the teams get the same amount of money. They split it up over 12, 14, 16, 18 teams. Here's your tournament money. Here's your Fox money. Here's your ESPN money. And it goes to the schools. Graduation rate's never been a concern. So
I don't think he's talking about that. I just think he's talking about for the wellness of the kid. That's all.
Yeah,
whether you believe him or not is irrelevant.
I know I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never been recruited by him. I know that there are people.
I'll say this: I've spoken to several Kentucky players.
They love him.
They love him.
And you know what? He may be to them what Lute Olson is to me. So let me ease up on the Coach Cal slander because I don't know the man. He's obviously a great coach, and I know that there are people who will vouch for him until the day that they die. I'm sure he's done wonderful things for millions of people. But my point is, the argument rings hollow to me because I know how the money gets handed out. I know what the coaches need is stability. Their argument is, we can't do our jobs and be judged fairly in this environment. And they're 100% right. But just keep it real about that because you don't really care about none of the other stuff. At least I don't think any of the coaches care about the other stuff. Do coaches like kids? Yes. Do they want these kids to develop and get degrees and go on and be successful young men? Absolutely. They wouldn't be coaching if they didn't. But at the end of the day, when you're making $3 million a year and people are hating on you on the internet and want you fired because your best guard left for an $80,000 raise and you had nothing to do with it, yeah, you feel a little bit trapped. You feel a little bit attacked. You feel like the system's unfair. I'm recruiting kids. I'm developing them. As soon as they get good, they throw me to the side and go somewhere else for more money, and you feel like a hamster on a wheel. I totally get where coaches are coming from. And you're right. They do got to fix it. But the only solution I feel is you got to just adopt the full NBA, NFL model. Contracts, unions, let's play ball.
Oh boy. Well, that's the end of that show. Hell, this thing keeps going the way it goes. We might not have much of a show here for very much longer anyway. So it's only be like 30 teams and they're all going to be like named after the Yankees. And then it's going to be a bunch of scraps after that. But, listen, I kid, obviously. We're going to enjoy this ride for as long as it lasts.
For sure.
And hopefully Arizona starts off the conference season.
I will say this, though. Despite everybody's aches and pains, the product is as strong as it ever was. Ratings, fan interest, attendance, it's all still there. And I know under the blankets, there's some kicking and scratching going on. But still, college basketball to me there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Whether it's Duke and the Cameron Crazies or Arizona or Gonzaga or Michigan, people are going to be glued to their seats. The CFP with all the portal hopping, I know where I'm going to be tomorrow at 5:30. I know exactly where I'm going to be on my couch watching that game. And to be honest with you, I don't care who transferred in and who transferred out. It's win or go home, and I'm there for it. So the sports are still exciting. I think America still loves its college athletics, but I do think you're right. The fan bases, it is absolute torture watching the Ferris wheel or merry-go-round of players. And I can only imagine what coaches go through when you lose an Omar Ballo to Indiana. You know what I mean? Who was he before he came to Arizona? And now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? You develop him, you put him in the spotlight, the kid plays well, and now he's gone. It's not that he had a problem with Tommy or Arizona. It was just pure finances.
My whole life, I've always wanted to see Arizona play in the Rose Bowl. And they had a couple opportunities and it just didn't work out, right? Mm-hmm. And now I sit here and I find myself in a position where I'm like, because of the inequity of college sports, it's going to take a lightning bolt situation for Arizona to find its way to a Rose Bowl someday, much like Indiana. Like Indiana is a lightning bolt situation that nobody saw coming. And now guess what? You have a little taste of it. Where are the donors coming from? All over the place. Cubans donating money to Indiana and all these other people, because now they got the train rolling. That's what you need, right? And that's, to me, I want to see Arizona in the Rose Bowl, but I can't wait forever, man. I'm 46 years old, so that's why I'm going to the Rose Bowl this week. I got me a ticket, and I'm going down there to see the Rose Bowl. Then I'm going down to the Holiday Bowl to cheer on my Wildcats. And hopefully someday, I can sit there and be in the Rose Bowl because my Arizona Wildcats are in there.
And instead of you and me getting all worked up about this, I say we just blame Kevin because he's the representative of that generation. So from now on, this whole thing is Kevin. Kevin got to answer for what's going on out here.
It's always Kevin's fault.
I like that. And so I want a graphic, Kevin's fault. So when we get to sticky topics, we just throw that graphic up. Kevin's fault. We're gonna move right on.
There's a guy I watch a cruise ship kind of show every day, and every time he's just like, he'll quote a song, and then it doesn't matter what the song is, he'll always say shout out Ludacris. That's it. That's it. So anyway, we do have a super chat from B Hansen 9098. A good chat about state of the NCAA. Thanks, gents. Appreciate you. Thank you for the love. And we do appreciate all of you for joining us on an extended version of the McKale Madness podcast, because it got a little. Hey,
we stayed on topic though.
We got a little passion in us, and we wanted to make sure that everybody knows it. And also another super chat by June Thomas. Shout out Miss Thomas. Happy New Year, Saul, Corey, and my beloved Kevin. That's Mama Thomas, Kevin's mom, for those of you who don't know. So we do appreciate you, June, and we hope you have a safe and happy holiday, just like the rest of you. Be out there. Hey, drink responsibly. Watch the taco fall down there in downtown Tucson. If you have an opportunity to, shout out Arizona Bowl for the great situation they put on display last Saturday. And to all of you, we'll see you next year. Corey?
Yeah, and this is the only time I'm in favor of the East Coast bias. I'll be bringing in the new year at about 10, and I'll be in the bed by 10:01. when they say I don't stay up till midnight at all if I can help it. So I'm gonna be asleep by 10. But technically, I'm celebrating East Coast New Year's as an old man this year.
Yeah, I watch it. I watch it in like Beijing. So so by the time I wake up, it's already the new year. We just move on. So we're good. So, all right, folks. Until next time, we love y'all. Peace. Bear down.
We all silly like the mayor.